the cloud.
Did you go on the community chat to remind anybody who wanted to join
you
in?
If you want, you just do it. You can say.
All right. Shall I send the link?
Yeah. Yeah.
Community chat. Starting now. Megilla course. Whoops, Megilla.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are. We're going to be inundated
Absolutely.
with 500 people, or not.
We'll have to cope.
Cobb said, it's very funny. I see you down as Rabbi Atlas.
I know. I said I introduced myself on the WhatsApp.
Don't worry. At one point, I think I forgot to change and kept on going in. I was going into things as Rabbi Atlas. It was quite unnerving.
Oh, what when you were hosting?
No. I was hosting a shul thing, and then I forgot to sign out.
Oh.
So I went into some Matan class, and suddenly I went, "Why does it say Rabbi Atlas?"
Yeah, they think you're.
I thought Perry just trying to say that he wanted a pay raise. That's all.
He wants to what?
Wanted a raise in pay.
A pay raise.
Pay raise. Okay.
Pay raise.
Oh, we've got Honey.
Hey, Honey.
Somewhere.
I wish you'd put your camera on. You can't look worse than me. Oh, Phil, I love your backdrop.
Feel it. Yeah, that's lovely.
Oh, the Nachas wall. And we can't hear a word you're saying because you're on mute.
I'm on mute, but I'm off mute now. That's fine, yes.
No, I think go back to mute. I think I prefer that. No, I've got to keep out the cheap jokes.
How does it work?
How does what work?
I mean, is it each group a different family, or does it go in age?
Yes, no. That's Arie's lot, his 3. That's Dov's lot, his 3, and that's Rafi's lot, his 4.
They got big all of a sudden.
Listen, this one here, she's 15 this year. Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah. Does that mean that you have to, by default, cover one family at all times?
Yeah, something like that. It's no. I sit in the middle. They're the little one. She's the youngest there. She's used to it. Little Hallel. There she is. She's the youngest.
But as I showed, we've got other mitzvah coming. Matot Maseh, Meir and Cassius.
Matot Maseh.
Wow. And Rosh Chodesh.
So Joseph was meant to be Matot Maseh Mavorachim HaChodesh, and so I delayed him a week. I made him Nachamu because I thought it was mean.
So I was doing the power. It's very sweet to do the power with him. I don't know. I remember doing it with my own kids, and I was harsh on my own kids. It's much better when it's your grandchildren. It's much easier.
Oh, Perry, can I just tell you that you teaching Avi his bar mitzvah? It was at our first shul Shabbaton.
Yeah, and
I think it was Avi. It wasn't Menachem. Menachem was already bar mitzvah. It wasn't still in Avi. So I just remember you you've got to go and practice. You've got to go and practice your naming.
Yeah, you couldn't get me to practice. Okay, let's get ourselves started. How's that? We all ready with an open book, open Megilla. I mean, with a tikkun or a comment.
Yeah.
Now you missed last week, Philip. I'm not going to do any more. I don't think I'm going to do too much singing. I don't think so. Because it's all
me and singing. I don't do it.
No, okay. So
I'm to do this last week, and I'm probably going to miss next week the way things are looking, but I'll do my best to come. It's not up to me exactly.
So what I want to tell you, Mirosh, I'm not. Is Richard here, by the way? Is his phone open?
Yeah, Richard. Richard? There he is.
There he is. Yeah. Hello, Richard. So I think Richard, you once came to a course. Somebody came to a course of it's like Askoff. Who did you come to that one the one time, Bill?
No, I came.
Right, Richard. Yeah. So we had that course. And it's like Eisner. He started to be Eisner. He started giving a course. I didn't.
It's still going on. I did it the last time. I'm doing it this time.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can sort of work out what tamim follow.
Correct.
I found that a bit tricky.
Yeah.
But
It's extreme. There's an extreme amount of information you have to hold in your head to do it properly.
Yeah. Well, and he's a clever bloke, and so are you. So that's okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I think we're going to start. I was going to start from the beginning, but I think we'll do a bit more of a fun thing, talking about Yitzhak Eisner. Okay, and that's the famous. It's not a controversy, but we do those words. We repeat 2 words. Okay. And let's see where they are. I've got to find them myself. One is in. I'm just jumping to the end. And in a few moments, we're going to go right back to the beginning. I'm just jumping to the end for a minute, okay? And those words are in Perek.
I can't roll all the way to the end. Now, come on, be fair.
Philip, stop moaning. The 8th Perek, Pasuk.
Why?
Pasuk Yud Aleph. Okay, that's the first. I'm going to find it myself.
Sorry, where are we? I was talking to Rachel.
There we are. It's okay. Perek Chet Pasuk Yud Aleph.
Oh, okay.
No, we are going to go back to the beginning. I'm just doing this as an aside, just a bit of a...
Hashmidu laharog. Exactly.
So the question is, everybody knows, well, we know, because we hear it every year who hears it. And do you read V'laharog, or do you read Laharog? And that was the question. And it's somehow, okay, I'll tell you, the bottom line is it should definitely be V'laharog, okay? But over I don't know how many centuries, and by the way, the Sephardim only do V'laharog. That's clear. How do I know this? Because Rav Mordechai Brewer wrote a ma'amar on the subject. I can send it to everybody. It's very, very interesting because he wasn't happy with this false minhag. And he just thinks it doesn't make any sense. So don't do a false minhag, particularly when you've now got the evidence. There was a time in history when there wasn't the evidence. So people didn't know whether it should be V'laharog or Laharog. So they did both. But he contends that now we have that evidence. And that evidence would have come from the Alexo Codex.
Aleppo.
Aleppo.
I meant Aleppo, sorry. Thank you.
It's Zecher and Zecher, right? I mean...
Same story on these 3 items. Zecher, Laharog, and also Lifnehem and Bifnehem. All 3 contain this ma'amar. I can send it to you with pleasure. I'll put it on the group. It's a very nice ma'amar, and it's quite easy to understand it. And he takes it through the history of it, how this minhag started, and it starts as somebody reputable. It wasn't. Oh, that's my phone. I think it's turn on.
Does he call it a minhag shtut?
No, he doesn't call it minhag shtut. He doesn't actually call it minhag shtut.
Okay.
There is some kind of basis to it somewhere. Turn off the sound. That's what I'm trying to do. That's it. Yeah. And so there was some basis. I just didn't refresh my memory before this just now as to who actually started it. But there is a base. But crazy. Okay, but so there is a base for the minhag, but clearly with evidence that we have now, including the Keter Aram Sava.
The Keter Aram Sova.
Thank you. Yeah. So particularly, unfortunately, neither Sefer Devarim or the Megillat Esther appear because there was. Didn't you give the shir on it? You gave the shir on right, so you know more about it than I did. Okay. And so much of it was lost, including the bits that we need for this. But what there still does exist are questions that rabbis will have sent from abroad to people. Oh, and by the way, okay, so again, Richard will know that was the text of the not the Rosh,
the Rambam.
No, the Rambam used it as the authentic text. But I can't remember just this split second who actually put it down. But that's why it's authentic because the Rambam gave it his stamp of approval. Again, we lost it. But people over the centuries sent questions to people who were there in Aleppo, and they said, well, what does it say? And it's all reading like a very, very short code. All these things, like kind of, I can't remember exactly, but Bob, the pasuk and Bob or not Bob, and they all understood what we're talking about.
Perry, the famous question, it's so lovely, is Chamesh Nekudot Chamesh Nukudot.
Thank you.
The question.
Thank you. I had that. That's right. Chamesh Nukudot, Zecher and Zecher, right? What's it supposed to be? Exactly right. And it's just and it was similar on these things here. And all the answers always came back to the way Rav Mordechai Brewer would say it is, which was Berla Harog and Lifnei. So that's very clear. And then also it appeared in the Leningrad Codex as well. And that is am I right to say it's even older than the Aleppo? Familiar with it or not?
I don't think so, no.
You think it's after, but it's certainly very, very old and the same reading appears there. So anyway, so Mordechai Brewer puts up this whole argument, and it's clear that he's right. Also, the fact that the Sephardim do it the single way of Villa Harog. Let's look at that, Villa Harog and not La Harog. Except that, what do you actually do nowadays? I mean, so it's quite, I asked actually Rav Hanan, he hasn't got back to me. So what do you actually do? Do you read both words? Everybody's used to it, even though it's a bit silly. Or do you just do the right way?
The Leningrad Codex is dated 1008 CE.
Oh, there you go, Richard, which makes it older, I think.
It says it's the oldest complete manuscript.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll send you the Ma'amar for yourself if you want. And so that's clearly what you're supposed to be doing. And one year when I read, and I don't think it was on Megillah, I think it was on Zecher and Zecher, Rav Yitzchak, that's Eisner again, told me, because he was a Rav at the time, and he told me to read just a thing, and I did.
I just must correct my wife because she's right with that date, but the Aleppo Codex is 10th century, which means...
No, but I said complete.
I know, but I'm saying the Aleppo Codex...
Aleppo is older, but it's half of it's missing.
It wasn't to begin with.
Well, all right, there are thieves in this world.
None of us was missing anything to begin with, No,
it happens with the state of Israel. It's a shanda what happened, but whatever. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, sorry to interrupt, Perry.
Although it's shocking to see husband and wife arguing in any way. But anyway, so that's what. And so Rabbi Yitzchak asked me to read Zeta, and this has been in.
But isn't it a masoret anyway? Biyadenu, even
what? That you do both.
Yeah, my grandfather.
No, so Rav Mordechai Brewer would say no. He would say it's only a few centuries old, so it's not Masoret B'Yadenu. Unless you say yes, so that's a Masoret B'Yadenu that we do over the last few centuries. Yeah. But I guess you could put up the argument. I don't know. I propose it to say what would you?
But you do repeat it, don't you?
Me personally, yeah, I do. I don't really like repeating it, but I do because people expect it to be repeated. But to me, it doesn't make sense. If you've got the evidence that says what it should be, then why would you repeat it? If they didn't know that. How many centuries ago?
Then they think you
no, but had they known, had they got the information that we have, then they would for sure have done it the right way. So do you correct it or not? Because they want people to use it. I don't really do it so much as I'm sorry. I do it. I don't want people screaming at me. So I just think I try to do the both and I've done with it because I'm quite the coward when it comes down to it. So that's that. That's why we're supposed to do Verla Harog and we're supposed to do Lifnei. And for this very second, I can't remember even what you can check your own Megillah. You've all got Megillah, check what it says. And I think all Megillahs have got the wrong one actually. I think mine.
Yeah.
Mine says Lahashmid Vela Harog.
Well, no, you're looking at the Chumash, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, what's Megillah? What's say Richard's Megillah?
I haven't got a Megillah. I'm only a woman.
Oh, it's too.
I know that. It's not your fault, Emma. There's no.
Can't wrong.
We don't blame you for that. And don't forget, my daughter's the only woman, and she's got a Megillah.
Yeah, but she can also lane it.
Yeah, she lanes it. Yeah.
Perry, your tea is steaming up your camera.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why? What's happening?
Or there is shading.
No, it isn't my tea. I think my camera's no good. I might have to change camera.
It's gone all blurred, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's a good lady.
We can still hear you. It's all right.
So I'm going to carry on.
Gil's going to think we're all nutters. Sorry, Gil.
Yeah. Oh, Gil, are you thinking we're nutters? But he's also British, so it's okay.
Yes, but we just are very old British and go back a long way. So you don't stand a chance, mate.
Yeah, it's true. But Heskey married British, so he's in as well, really.
Okay.
By the way, I go back a long way with Heskey's father-in-law. Back to Kinloss.
I'm slowly but surely converting her away from the ways of the Brits.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That is a shame. That's enough to get you.
Bill, he's not catching. Are you frightened of shading?
No, I'm just sort of playing here. Don't worry about it. There was one I wanted. Yeah, there's this one. This is. I just like the hat on.
That's nice. Better than me being shaded out.
My
Okay.
kid
Now,
does that in Zoom class.
Yeah. I do this all the time. It keeps me amused. I'm doing Zoom all day, every day, so I need to keep things amusing.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, now back to the beginning.
Okay.
Now we're getting back to the beginning of we're going back to the beginning, and we're just gonna. I thought about like doing some grammar rules, and I thought I won't do that either, and we'll just go through some of Kim, and we'll see the rules on the fly. And I bet some of you know the rules as well as me, but I know I'm gonna. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna start with the second pasuk, first perek, second pasuk, and we'll do a bit question answer. Why is it? It's a silly kind of question, but still, why is it kushevet? Okay, why is it kushevet and not cheshevet? Why is that?
Kapat and
Right, by the way, right, in England, like in Hasmo, we call it begad kafat, right? But in Israel, they call it begad kefet. Don't know why they just do.
All right.
Okay, and it's the same thing. So, in other words, though there are certain letters that at the beginning of the words usually take the dagesh.
Not always.
Usually,
Yeah,
because we're going to come to it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to come to when they don't. So this is just a bit that. Okay, fine. So therefore, we're seeing now. That's why it's okay. Kushevet. Okay, fine. Now I want to go to. Now this isn't really an Ashkenazi, an Ashkenaz and not a Sephardic pronunciation thing, but at the end of the pasuk, right? It's Asher B'Shushan. So Ashkenaz makes a difference between B'Shushan and B'Shushon, right? I say in different pasukim, which I can't find right one now, but you do see Shushon, right? A bit the ear Shushon, which you can't see it. So when
I've never noticed that.
Oh yeah, you'll see it all over the place, and you'll see it in places where it does make a difference, even for Ashkenaz and Sephardi in a way. So why do you do? When is it Shushon, and when is it? This must bring you back to Bert Myers, surely, Phil. So
Albert.
So what? So when?
Yes,
When is it Shushan? And when is it Shushon? Right? With the patach or
end of a pasuk, I would imagine it's Shushon.
No. The Shushan is the construct. Remember, the construct thing means of.
Oh yeah.
The Shushan, Asher B'Shushan Habirah. The how's that work? Why is it construct? I'm thinking myself, which was in Shushan. Doesn't mean Shushan of the capital, but it's.
If it means palace, so the question is, what Shushan is? It Shushan?
Shushan Habirah, yeah.
Or is it the palace of the capital? There are people who argue it's the palace.
But it's Shushan. So the Shushan is the construct. That's the Shushan of, which doesn't actually.
Palace of the city of the.
I hadn't really thought of it, but Shushan is the city. So they're wrong. I mean, that would have been had it been Birat Shushan, then we would have understood it, right? Birat means. Yeah, but so I don't know actually. I never thought about it before, but it is the construct. It isn't coming into the puzzle. It's the construct. It's the.
Okay, so what Richard is saying is that maybe the word Shushan means palace.
I don't think it does though, because Shushan we know.
I don't think it does.
It's a city. It's the name of the city.
Yeah, then let's trust Richard because he knows everything.
There are people who argue. So
Are you saying that? Have you heard that before?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can give you a book on it if I can find it.
Interesting. Okay, I've never ever thought of that. It makes sense if it's construct. It is construct, so maybe.
Yeah.
You're saying it's the Shushan meaning
the palace of the city.
I get you.
Of the strong.
Interesting. Okay. Wouldn't have thought about that. Okay, fine. Next one. Now we're getting into Gimel. Okay, Bishnat Shalosh. Now, how are you reading the next word? Bishnat Shalosh. Next word.
The molcho.
Why not malcho? I mean, you would normally expect it to be. It's a kamas, right? So it's going to be. I mean, it's okay for me. I'm so terribly Ashkenaz. I mean, it's always malcha, right? But why is that? So that's called a kamas katan, okay? And if you've got a really good, the TT ways, if you've got a really good ticker now, I'm using this one, the big one.
Yeah, then they have a longer version.
The Simanim one, right? And that will tell you straight away. So it'll give you just like Phil said, it'll give you like a long kamat. So, now I know it's kamat katan, and I know I do molcho, right? But if you haven't got that, right, then you which we didn't have it, and we didn't even have it in Siddurim, but you would know it because next to that kamat, there's no little line which is called a meteg.
Yeah.
And the meteg would let you know that you're going to read it normal as just as a kamat gadol. So let's see a place. Have I got a place?
Lefanav.
Yeah.
Where are you?
End
Yeah. I wanted to do something else. I was trying to do.
All right, but the next word has got as asa has got two kamatzim, and there's no metegs.
Or is it metegim?
Yeah. The answer to that is I do.
Yeah, you're right, Richard. Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm assuming, and I really don't know. No, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to say because it's two of the same vowels, and therefore it doesn't do it. No, I'm changing I'm changing that. I'm sorry. Sorry. The reason why that is because I'm talking about it appearing before the shva. Okay, under the lamed you've got a shva. Okay, so I've already got two things to think about here. By the way, am I going to do this as a kamatz katan, meaning mol? And how am I going to read the lamed? Is that going to be le moloch? Am I going to read the shvana le molocho?
No.
Or am I going to do le? Do you see what I mean? I've got two things to deal with here, and they always go together. So when you've got a kamatz katan, which you see because there's no meteg, then that shva is going to be a shvanach, which is why it's going to be le molcho.
Right.
Bit confusing, but do you kind of get it?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's also interesting just to sort of see what. It's quite hard what you got to go through. Truth is, like when I was doing it with, I don't think kids learn this stuff. They just do it, right? You just read a parent fashion.
I don't know that they do. It's very interesting because I hear them read anyway. But after the last two Shabbatot, Vayiru'u, and you're not there, I'm getting a bit.
Yeah, so Richard's another great Vayiru'u person, right? Why do you do Vayiru'u? I always hear Richard doing Vayiru'u.
Because the question is whether you saw or you were afraid.
So what you're saying now is it makes a difference in the meaning, and it does, right? Vayiru is they saw, Vayiru is if they feared, right? But how do you know that? How do you know that from the if you look at it in the Chumash? Because there's bound to be. I'm looking at now. There's bound to be a meteg before the Shvat. There's bound to be one, and also that long. I'm looking it up. That long. Where is it? We are in Shmot Tetvav. Yeah, there is. Okay, Tetvav Lamad Aleph Vayiru'u. There's a meteg before that reish. So that's the giveaway. I mean, admittedly, the Simanim Chumash tells me that, so I've got to think about it. Likewise, by the way, so do any of the reasonable Siddurim that we have, whether it's whatever, the old
Binat Yisrael.
Yeah, they all do that, right? But you see it, so but that's why. I mean, okay, we know it makes a difference in the meaning, and there's a few places where I think it really makes such a great difference, but there it really makes a difference. And so that's why I feel always hopes I get there on time.
Yeah, but there's no metric in this chumash. Does that mean it's a cheap chumash?
Could be. Yeah. There should be a metric. Yeah, there is. Under that first yud, you'll see it.
Vayiru. Oh, there's the metric under the yud.
Yeah, under the yud before the shva.
Yes.
And that's what's telling you. So now you know that's why. So that metric is the giveaway telling you that the shva is a shva now.
Right.
Okay, fine. Now we're moving on. So forget about the double kamat. So it's only to do with the shva. Okay. Mishter. Now, why are you going to do? It sounds silly now. Yeah. Why don't you say? Sorry, forget. Again, I'm doing the Ashkenaz Sephardi thing. So even if there was no dagesh in the taf, you would still say mishter. We would say in Israeli, would say mishter. But me Ashkenazi, why don't I say mishser? Or to put it differently, why is there a dagesh in the taf? And the answer to that is it's following a short vowel, there's a chirik, right? When we use this when we did Reisha Stars, right? There's a chirik. I'm going to confuse you in a second, but there's a chirik under the. Sorry, you know what? I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you two things. Number one, there's a chirik under the mem, right? That's a short short vowel. Is this boring you, Ben? Is that okay? Emma, you okay with this? Yeah, you okay with this?
No.
Yeah. So
the chirik is under the mem, not under
it's under the mem, right? So now I'm looking at that, and it's a short, that's a short vowel. So now I'm saying to myself, okay.
And you've got a shvan nach, which is important because
I've got a shvan. The only reason, by the way, you've got a shvan nach, which is very important, is because there's no meteg, which was the giveaway. And by the way, even without the meteg, you could still work it out because it's a short vowel. In other words, by the way, if there was a yud between the mem and the yud, the mem and the shin, so it would be mishta or something, then indeed that would have been a misha set. Then it would have been like that. Then you would have said that's a shvana. But the chirik is considered a short vowel, and that's why I'm looking at my own notes, right? Yeah, and that's and that's closes that syllable. I'm always a bit confused with this, but that closes that syllable, so that's why it's mish. And the new syllable takes the dagesh.
New syllable always takes dagesh. Okay, right.
And we're going to see places, I hope soon, where it's not like, have a looking on time. Okay, fine. And that's it.
I think it was Ibn Ezra that started writing all these things down, if I'm not mistaken.
But he was a grammarian. Makes sense. You'll see that I know he does it. I've got my hand in the Shira. I happen to have left it there for some reason. And he does in his comment on the Shira, and I got to think where it is. Mikdash. That's where he says it. Mikdash. Where's Mikdash?
Mikdash.
Mikdash. Where can I find it? Mikdash in Pasuk Yud Zayin. Mikdash. How do you know, by the way, that's the shva? How do you know that is a shva? Now, okay, Simanim gives you the strong shva, so you know it is. How do you know it's a shva? Now, because there is a dagesh in the kuf. Any place where you've got any letter that's got a dagesh in it, you always do a shva.
Yeah.
And he tells you that, and I happen to remember it. The Ibn Ezra tells you that there and then.
Oh, okay.
By the way, if you really want to, okay, again, the Simanim tells you everything, but you probably will see the Minchat Shai always like in the Tikkun. The Minchat Shai, he's always telling you how to do things. I bet he says it. I'm not worried, but he'll tell you what to do almost in every place. I don't know where the Minchat Shai is from. How many centuries ago? By the way, the Minchat Shai was also another source for Mordechai Brewer. I can't remember how he used it as a source. I can't remember how. But maybe use it direct as a source and just say that's what he says. Okay, so about okay, fine. So that's that. Now I'm carrying on. I'm just thinking about this isn't even my note. Somebody else made a note on that same pasuk in Ariel. I'm using Ariel's tikkun on the same pasuk. He's got l'chol sarav va'avadav. He wanted to kind of remember that it was va'avadav, not va'avadav. And I can't think of the reason why. I can't think of the reason why, and I'm sure it's not a pullbackable offense either. Because by the way, if you're really leaning like the Shirat Hayam, Richard, you ought to pull something back on Vayiru and Vayiru. As of the Pasuk and Zimra, forget that, doesn't make a difference. But when you're laning, you should pull back on those kind of things. I don't think V'avadav and V'avadav, V and Va there makes any sense, and it will do later on in another example. Okay, fine. That's that. Now I'm moving on to Pasuk Hey, which I think we did last week. Okay, we did. How do we know that the stress is on that? Okay, again. Now we need to do something else. Generally in Hebrew, the stress is always on the last syllable, known as
milra.
Right, milra. So it's nearly always on it. No, but obviously there's exceptions. I don't know percentage-wise, I can't even think. But so it's normally that, and that's what's happening in Adin Se'im, right? And we know that. We know that we're to do the stress there because that Tlisha is appearing on the last letter, right? However, you do, and I think we discussed this last week, you do have words where where there's a tisha, and that tisha katana will always appear on the last letter. That's where it always appears. Just like, sorry to bring you back to the first pasuk, Hamolech, the pashta, always appears on the last letter. So, we just said that. Yeah, just like saying that, right? So, in back in Hey, the tisha will be on the last letter. If they want to tell you, well, don't put, and I can't find one now, but don't put your stress on that.
If you get that with a pashta, where you get two pashta.
Okay, so sometimes you get that, you do get that, and that's to tell you, put your stress on the first one, because the second one is only there to tell you it's a pashta, and the pashta just by default goes on the last letter. If you find an earlier one, that's telling you, no, do your stress on this. Again, the simanim will tell you that. They'll give you some kind of code for that. I can't think of what they'll do. But so that's, do you see what I'm saying? So in other words, there are certain default positions for the ta'amim. In the case of Tisha Ketana, that the default position is the last letter. If they want to tell you, don't stress that because you're thinking, oh, that's the one I'm going to stress, then they'll give you another Tisha somewhere else in the word earlier on where you are to stress it, and you'll know that. You'll say, oh, I've got two Tisha here, why I understood the first one. Okay. And by the way, Tisha Gdola, forget it, I'm going to confuse it. It's the reverse, but forget it. Okay, then we're carrying on. Some I'm saying to you, I didn't point it myself. I'm just thinking that word in the same pasuk. We're still in Hey Mishteh, right? But if it's Mishteh, you know what? I'll tell you what. In Gam Bashti Amaka, where is it? Gam Bashti. Yeah, pasuk Tet. I'm just taking that for a second. But pasuk Tet. Gam Bashti Amaka Asata. We'll do that in a second. Mishteh. Now, I don't know. Hebrew, I guess it's always read as an et, right? Mishteh. But we know, we're so wise English people, we know we do mishteh because, and that is a construct. That construct meaning the feast of, right?
Of the women, right?
Feast of the women.
The feast of the women. Masha Enken, coming back to where we were in Hay, it's mishteh, which is just a feast of 7 days. Oh, sorry, I should say right. Or 7 days. That's confusing. Or 7 days.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And another construct, same posuk, bachatza rather than bechatzer. Right, bechatzer. Yeah. So the bechatzer is a construct again. It's in the courtyard of.
Is the of.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, carrying on. So now we've got to go back to Bill remembered his beged kefet, right? So I'm expecting that whenever I see, sorry, we didn't really explain what beged kefet is. Beged kefet is whenever you see one of those 6 letters, Bet, Gimel, Daled, Beged kefet, Taf, Pei, Taf, at the beginning of a word, I'm expecting it to have a dagesh in it. That will be, that's what I'm expecting to see. So I'm asking you now, why do I not see it? 2 cases in pasuk Vav. You know what? For Karpas, I'm happy with Karpas, right? I'm very happy with it because it's got the kaf has got a dagesh. So that's good, we're good to go. Okay.
The one in Tchelet.
So I want to know. Tchelet is good. No, it hasn't got one, right? It hasn't got one. It's not the beginning of the word, and it's following that short vowel. So I'm good with that one. Okay, fine. Okay. What I want to know is why is it afut b'chavle vutz? Why isn't it vutz?
Yeah, because the chavle finishes with an open, maybe.
Correct. Yofi. So the chavle is open, right? So now I'm thinking, okay, that's not really new. It's connected. It's connected to the previous word. It's not like a new word or a new sentence all by itself.
And are you going to tell me it's the same thing again for Gililei Chesef?
I'm going to say exactly that. Al Gililei Chesef. What's my clue to that? I suppose there's one. By the way, Phil, you weren't here last week, but Gililei is also something you wouldn't expect to have. You would expect to have Gililei, right? It's for Milra. We know what.
Oh, right.
And by the way, that's what you would say. You would say, I don't know, Galgaleezer or something, right? I mean,
right.
So why is it Gililei? And that's another rule. Nasog asor. If it doesn't sound right, put the stress one back. It just doesn't sound right to say, it doesn't sound right to say Gililei Chesef. It doesn't sound right. Gililei Chesef sounds kind of right. So you put the stress
on.
Is that a real rule if it doesn't sound right?
Nasog asor is a real rule.
I'll give you an example. I mean, often the language changes to make things easier. you got in Torah tmol shilshom, and we say etmol.
Yeah.
The aleph is put in specifically to make it easier to say. It should be tmol, but it is difficult to say.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
My uncle.
I wish I had.
Your uncle
got this in my name.
Great uncle.
My uncle left it out. My uncle left out the aleph.
Yeah. I thought he was a great uncle.
Great uncle.
Great uncle.
Actually, he was the husband of my great aunt, but that's a different story. He wasn't actually directly.
Still remarkable.
See that.
He was a remarkable guy.
Yeah.
My cousin has his signed first editions, complete set. Every so often, his daughters play with them, and he goes all crazy because they tear pages out.
I think Gil doesn't understand what we're talking about. This is a Nobel Prize winner. It's Phil's great uncle.
Yeah.
Who? Oh, what?
Uncle Shai.
Uncle Shai, yeah, of course.
Diagnon.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I can't find what I was really doing. Oh, I did see it somewhere.
By the way, Perry, whenever you turn your head away to look, the microphone doesn't quite pick up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
We have to assume what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, fine. So, thank you. So we've got that. So, isn't that funny? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm always worried about the begat kafat or beget kefet or whatever you call it, because for us it doesn't really make any difference. It took me a long time to understand that a dalet with a dagesh and a gimel with a dagesh in some places is actually pronounced different to what without.
Which we just can't.
How can it be pronounced differently?
Yeah, they sort of like, they tell them to do a jer, right?
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
They do a jer and a jer.
The gimel becomes a jer and the dalet becomes a thir or something. No, without
the third it's a tough, right?
Oh, is it the half? Oh,
yeah. I don't know what they do, but yes, there are places where they.
But you've got 7 sorts of ayin that I can only hear 2 of.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Galilei. Right? Sorry, Galilei. And then chesed, right? So why is it chesed? Again, it's connected to the previous word, right? It's rolls of silver, right? And if that wasn't enough for us just to know it, sort of intuitively, that those words are connected.
Rods of silver.
Yeah. Is it rods? Thank you. Oh,
yeah, it's glile, but it's a rod.
Yeah. Okay, glile, yeah. So if it wasn't enough for us just to know it intuitively, the notes also tell us, because the meracha, under that you've got a meracha tipacha, right? So the meracha.
Oh, to show that they're connected.
It's called a misharet, connected to the next word. There's misharet and melachim or matsikim. You can call them either. But this one, the meracha is connected. It's a connected tam. So that's how I know, from 2 standpoints, why you do that. Okay. Now we're carrying on. Okay.
Well, there's several, aren't there? There's, first of all, as you say, there's the notes. Then there's the open syllable at the end. Then there's the
open syllable at the end won't always do it for you.
Not always, I know, but then there's also the fact that it's a construct. So you've got like 3 things there.
No, the construct has nothing to do with it. I think the fact that you would look at it and say, "Oh, these are connected words," but I think you need the tamim to tell you it. I don't think without the tamim you couldn't.
Oh! I don't know. I don't whether.
No, sorry. I'm changing my tune. I'm saying like this. It's open. So the open thing. When I see it open, now I'm already thinking. Hold on. What am I going to do with that next letter? And then I'm going to start looking at the tamim. Yeah. Is that what you just said?
No, I'm just thinking back to what Rav Eisner said when I went to his course, and it was almost like, well, we add the tamim later on, like as if they were punctuation, and you add the tamim in line with what the meaning is, and the meaning is that's a construct.
So let me restate what you said, because you're right, but I prefer to restate it as the ta'amim actually go in as a perush of what's going on here. It's an explanation. So there were different, we use the particular Tiberian Masoretic text as they load down, but there were other ways of doing it that we don't go with. But it's effectively a perush. It's explaining to you what it means in the way of the person who does the ta'amim.
Yes. So you're saying that I was right to say intuitively it makes sense, and now the ta'amim are saying, okay, that does indeed make sense.
But if you've got it wrong, someone would say, no, that tam shows you that's not the way to explain it.
Yeah. Okay, fine, good. Now, we did this next one already. I told you I had it wrong all the years apart from last year. And that's in the same pasuk. Now, what's the next word? I'm thinking I always read it as ritzpat. But it's wrong.
Is ritzpat?
It's ritzafat.
Ritzafat.
It's a shvana.
Because there's a meteg under the
Yeah, that's not, there's a meteg. So that's telling me, even though in my mind I'm thinking there should be, I would have thought to make that into shvana. I just don't know enough to know whether the meteg would do it, or do you need a meteg and a yud to make it into a long?
I agree with you. As I understand it, people treat the meteg in different ways. And
yeah, so I wouldn't have known that. I can't. I think I only knew it by looking the Minchat Shai or something. I don't know what woke me up to it. And there's definitely different, and it means different. And there's what does it mean? I know. I just know it has got a different meaning. No, I can't find it here quickly. And,
I've never heard you lay that with a shvana.
Yeah, I would do al rispat bad. That's what I would do. Al rispat. That's what I would do, and I would be wrong.
The shvanach.
No, it's a shvana. That's what I'm telling you. And if you look in your
I'm
see.
saying I've never heard you laying it with a shvana.
Correct.
I've never heard you laying it with a shvana. I would say it with
anybody laying it with a shvana, by the way. I never have.
What?
I never.
No, I've never heard anybody laying it with a shvana.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. And it changes the meaning. And if I get the chance, I can't remember where I saw it. Do I see it here? It changed the meaning. Oh, the Minchat Shai tells you. I don't think it means floor. Okay, it doesn't mean floor. That's what it's not meaning. I can't remember what it is meaning. And if you read it the wrong way, it's just got a different meaning. I have to look it up. Homework. How about that? So we can find out what
I mean, it's interesting because Adin Steinsaltz says it means floor.
Does it? So maybe the other way is the other way.
No, what's interesting is you keep on saying ritzpat and it says ritzafat.
Yeah, that's what it should be. Ritzafat. Yeah. I've always said ritzpat. I think I laid it right in your place last. I think you're all Yotze. Funnily enough, it's another example of, but actually, if you get it wrong, I don't think it'd be matter that much, let's be honest, right? But I think that would change the meaning. Well, it's common, but I wish I read it a bit more to see. Anyway, it does change the meaning. There's got to be out.
What you're saying that ritzafat is one thing and ritzafat is something else.
Ritzafat so easy to read, by the way. Ritzafat. Maybe it's just me. Okay, that's that. Now we're on Chet. Okay, are we? What should we do? Should we go on to like 9? Is that okay? Or too much, everybody? Anyway, we can pack up. Gil, are you okay with this, Gil? Good. Are you still around? Eight.
Here, but I have to go at 9 o'clock.
Fine. Okay, I think 9 is going to be it. 9 is quite enough for all of us. Okay. Carrying on. So we're now in Chet. Okay. First one. I'm trying to think about this now. I hadn't thought about this till now as I'm reading it. Why is it? The first word in the pasuk is
Vahashtia.
Hashatia. How do I know that? Number one, I know it because I've got the simanim and it's giving me the strong shval. But if I didn't have it, I would know it. How, Phil? How would I know it's Hashatia? Dagesh.
This is a dagesh in the shin.
Dagesh in the shin tells me any letter telling me it's a shvana.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's why you would read when Safad wouldn't differentiate and would go to Bahashatia, but me, I'm going Bahashasiya, right? Because that next the tough is not taking the dagesh. Okay.
Depends how much you've been drinking, of course.
Also true. A lot of drinking going on here, right? Now,
Ibn Ezra says about Ritzpah, he says, "Come on, Ritzpah avanim v'hema yitzia milamata." So he doesn't seem to say it makes any a difference.
It does. I know it does. I just can't remember.
So it's not Ibn Ezra then.
Minchat Shai brings it.
The Minchat Shai.
I'm looking at Minchat Shai. Bringing you
16th century, but
Yeah.
he's taking off one of the Spanish Rabbanim of Halevi, right? Meir Halevi, or one of the Spanish.
Okay.
This far.
I can't see it here. I know I checked it last year.
Be the different types of floor.
Maybe.
Okay.
Because they're talking
Okay.
here about tessellated tiles like in the Alhambra.
Yeah.
So maybe Ritzafa is referring to the sort of tiles done in a specific pattern, whereas Ritzpah is any kind of floor.
Yeah, Rashi says they're karkaot bahat v'shesh. So mini avanim tovot perishu ravatenu lefi mashmaut hamikra kach shmam. So
they're like stones.
Yes, stones, precious stones.
Stones rather than floor.
Exactly.
Right.
Inlaid flooring, like Alhambra.
Yeah.
In
Not
Spain.
like the lino we used to have at home.
Not like lino. Lino is Ritzpah, and this is Ritzafa. Okay.
Okay. So now I'm back in Chet. Why is it
Shtia.
Kichen? But then Phil will tell me straight away.
Sorry, I missed the question.
Kichen. In Chet, why is it Kichen rather than Kichen?
Ah, because
you know that one. You said it.
Yeah. So this is the same.
Same thing, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at the chaf. It should. If it's the first letter. Should take a dagesh. Beged kefet. No, it doesn't. It doesn't because the word before it is open and hyphenated. So it's not like a different. It's connected, in other words, and that's why it's ken, not ken. Okay. Okay. Just the thing we've already done. Next asata. Why is that? How do I know that's a shvana?
Meteg.
The meteg, right? The meteg following the long vowel, following that kamatz.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever get a meteg following a short. I think that's what the meteg is telling you. In other words, if we didn't have the meteg, you would. I wanted to say you would still know it's a shvana.
I don't think
you would, because you're saying to yourself, it could be a kamatz katan, it could be osata. Maybe. Yeah, you think you need the meteg.
Richard, is the meteg prior to the ta'amim?
Oh, I'm not getting into that one. Above my pay grade.
Okay.
I think so. By the way, I think so. But
it sort of looks like it from the way.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking to myself, and I don't think I know the answer. I'm going to the next puzzle. Okay. Hold on. Okay, that was a. Are you showing a double? Are you showing?
Which puzzle do you want?
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at on Limhuman, right? That's a Shisha Dola.
Limhuman. Are you in Yud Limhuman?
Limhuman, yeah. By the way, not Limma, just Lim. There's no. It would be if there was a dagesh in the mem. It's Limhuman. And now I'm thinking, well, where's my stress on that word? Okay. Well, I know it's a Shisha Dola, so I know it's always going to appear on the first letter. That's the default. That's what that on the first letter. That's why I've got the no. That's why I've got lim, right? So now, but I don't know where my stress is. Comes that second Slisha to say, oh, do the stress on the last syllable. You think you're going to follow the default? Don't follow the default. Don't do it on the first. Do it on the last. And I guess you could just do it with any old sign, but they just decide to use the same term twice.
By the way, there's a very nice point here. Have you noticed two words on charvona?
Now, by the way,
ends in an aleph.
Later on, it ends in a hey.
Correct.
Yeah.
Zachor Atov.
Zacholatov, yeah, because he became Jewish. That's
Eliyahu, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Eliyahu, yeah.
Eliyahu, I don't know. Where did you get Eliyahu?
What do we say in the benching? Eliyahu Hanavi Zacholatov.
I see.
Oh, I see. All right.
Plateau.
Oh, okay.
So how
Yeah,
come
okay.
Carbona at the beginning? Well, it's an aleph, but there it's a hey, so that is replaced.
Oh,
Right. Okay.
right. Yeah.
Very,
Okay.
very nice.
I don't know why. I mean, I just wanted to point this out because I don't know why the bizata, why that Zion takes a dagesh to make it bizata, right? I mean, now I see the dagesh in the Zion. I know even without simanim, it's going to be shvana. I know it's going to be bizza, right? Unlike bigta, right? And yet there's no. Okay, I don't know the answer. There's no metig or anything to help me along here. I guess the only I think so. You know what? I'm coming back. I'm saying big ta. I understand because there's no metig. It's a short vowel, namely the chirik. So I know it's going to be big ta. That's fine for me. And biz ta would have been the same, but I guess that's whoever
It's difficult to say.
Whoever put the grammar together said I want you to. I don't know why they want you to do bizata, but they do, and they tell you how do you know to do bizata by the dagesh.
Yeah.
Wish I knew more. I don't know. I don't know. You know why?
It could be they decided that a zayin followed by a taf is impossible to say without putting a shvana in. Or
why you could say bizta? Why not?
You could say bizta.
You could, or you could say quite differently that in their language, right, which is Parsi, the name itself was actually bizata.
I think that's right. Transliteration.
Yeah, could be. Nice.
Bizeta.
Could be. Okay.
That sounds more to me.
Okay, now we're going on to
Yes,
next Yud Aleph. We're moving quicker. The Yud Aleph. And now we're doing Hasrinash oh, I didn't even see that. Et Yofya, not Yaf. Yeah, Yofya. How do you know? Because no meteg, right? They've got the kamatz, no meteg. Oh, it's katan Yof. And in the hay, you've got the dot. We all know it's a mapik hay, which means it's you pronounce it with a her, and it means it's the beauty of her. That's what mapik hay looks like. Yeah. So, okay. I don't know. I'm just looking in Yud Gimel. It's Yod-A, same story, right? That cholam is a long vowel, and there's a metic. Is there a metic?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
What, on your day?
Yes.
There's a metic under the Yud. Yeah. I also couldn't say it for a second. So now I know it's Yod-A. Right. Okay.
No meteg.
Philip, you have to send it back.
There is a meteg.
Yeah,
there is a meteg. Right.
The same problem. Okay.
There is one.
Yeah.
I've really got to get either better glasses or a bigger print. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll get one of those. I have my crystal ball which I can use to magnify things if I get.
Okay. Let's just do. I'm trying to do anything kind of more. Okay, I'm going to run through. We've got 5 minutes, maybe 6. That's it. Okay. Let's do a few things quick. Where am I? Okay, Kaushana, Sheta, Ad. Now, normally I'm expecting it to be Admata, right? Milra. But it's not, it's Admata. Now, if I was you with your Parsi theory, maybe that's the way they did it. I'm going to go for Nasogachor.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm going to go for which part of you in lost.
I'm in your Dalit, and I'm saying why is Admata? Why is it that? Why is it Admata? But I think it's because of the sound of it. You know, just the slill doesn't work well. I think. I've got this book of mine. I had it here. You can't see it. This book. It's like some kind of English book written in monks many years ago. I don't know where I picked it up. How to read Megilla. And he says there's no Nasogachor, but I think he's wrong. And I read somewhere else he's wrong on the Galilei.
I don't think anybody at Monks could ever be wrong about anything.
You know what? I don't know. I could have made that statement. Anyway, yeah. So that's okay. Admata, Tarshish. Why not? Again, you don't care about that. I do. What's that? Tarshish. Why is it? Why is Why is it a sir, not a ter? Again, you know, it's about it, we don't care. Again, because the other one is open, right? That's open. So the previous admata, yeah, admata, right? It's open, right? So because it's open,
yeah, I'm still I would go with that as being a transliteration.
Only because that's your theory, you're sticking to it, and you're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All true.
Now I'm in Tet Vav. Kedat Malasot Bamalka. I'm just thinking this through with you, but Bamalka rather than Bamalka. And there's what's the difference between Ba and Ba? And Ba means Ba ha. In that. I don't know what to make here. Yeah. So it means whenever you have anywhere in the Torah or anywhere, Ba and Ba means something specific. But I think that's the one you can about that. We're going back to the Shira. I can't believe it. So we're going to B'mayim Adirim or B'mayim Adirim, and it makes a difference. I forget who says what. We say "but," right? In other words, I know what it is. B'mayim. If it's one way is they. What's the? I've still got my hand there. I can't believe it.
It must be B'mayim. It must be B'mayim because it's not specific mime.
No, I'll tell you why you're wrong on that. I think you're wrong. So the Luke counts there, right? They sound like lead. B'mayim in the water. Adirim, who are those strong ones? Those fierce ones. That's the Adirim, as opposed to B'mayim Adirim, fierce water. Am I right about this? Fierce is idea, right? Okay. So that's the difference. That's why it's B'mayim. By the way, I don't know if anybody's looking at it. So Laluka Ka'oferet, B'mayim. That tipacha also closes that syllable, closes it. B'mayim, in the water. Who? The Adirim. That's what we have to read it. And I I think it was B'mayim. Yeah, and if it was, anyway, but that's the difference between. I don't know how it really refers to the Shira. I'm just thinking about that. But anyway, B'malka, B'hamalka, as opposed to B'malka. I don't know. Because often you come across that when you say, I can't think of examples in the Torah when you have like la and la. When it says la something, it means it's kind of more generic. La is very specific. So, and that's a mistake. That's a pullbackable mistake, by the way. Okay. Jumping. How long? We should be stopping. And jumping quick. Okay. So Yud Tet. Now this we all know. Yes, say oh, by the way, Devar Malfut constructs again, right? Devar rather than Davar. You couldn't go. Yes, say Davar.
There's no tam on the Devar.
Yeah, there is no tam. It's connected to the Malchut. I'm just saying it's not davar. It's not davar. It's davar, meaning the davar of, right? Construct.
Yeah.
That's what davar means. Okay. Milaf. That's got a nice sound to it. You say the davar Malchut. Milafanav. The lavad again. Same thing, right? Like that's the dagesh. The dagesh lama tells me I'm going to do a shavana. Next word is nice. Why is it V'yikatev rather than V'yikatev?
I think Chezi has to go at 9. I think we should be fair to him.
Should we pack it in? I
think so.
Pack it in.
Enough.
Richard had called it to close.
If there's any way for next week you could possibly have access to a slightly clearer camera.
Sorry about that. I've got a camera. I've got an external camera. If you want to know what happened was Dahlia's daughter picked up. I slipped or something, and then my whole computer went. So my camera. It's worse than the camera going. It's also my enter key and my backspace key went as well. Hence, I've got like a.
Well, you've still got the left-hand side of the keyboard.
Yeah. Anyways, that's why.
For 100 shekel, you can replace the keyboard.
No, you can't. You can't replace it. I tried. I got an external keyboard and that's it. And I got an external camera and that's it as well. But I just didn't use it. I thought it was going well to start with. Yeah.
I always had an external keyboard.
Why? I don't like that.
Right.
All right.
Maybe all
Okay.
the boards, you know.
Now,
I
have I got to do anything with the recording? What do? I just do stop, right? Stop.
think
Stop.
Yeah.
so.
And then it processes. It takes a while to process.